There we are, first thing Saturday morning, Nat from Nat's Knacker's Yard, pulling away. He's less wobbly than Sultan. Yeah, nice little bike. Okay, so I've got some matte black paint. What I'm going to do is pop off this cover again and use the pad that Nat gave me. Nat set me up with this. Now, it's a polishing pad, but I think it might take off the rough paint and the white crap here. I think it might do that. So I will pop this off, pop the kickstart off, try and kind of get this down to a flat bit if I can, and then I'll throw on some matte black just to get it looking better than it does at the moment. Nat was here in person, you saw that this morning. I talked to him about the paint. He said that there's a lot of heritage to the bike, so it's not really worth painting it, which is true. I found a rear section for this bike, this whole rear section in yellow. It appears to be the same yellow, but I doubt it. This was obviously painted by someone. It's like 100 quid. But it's too risky to buy it and it be a different yellow. I'm going to get the closest match up I can on touch up and leave it be, actually get it back on the roads and leave it be. So let me get this cover off. I'll try and kind of give it a strip with that as best as I can, and then we'll look at if we can get some black on it. I mean, it looks pretty rough and it's all flaking, look. So it needs a good old clean down first. Okay guys, so a lot of this paint's quite loose. That battery's fresh. Let's set up and let's see what that pad will take off. So it's only if it's really flaky that it will take it off. What it's good for is taking off the crap underneath, look. But it's not actually chipping the paint at this stage. So I've got some basic paint strippers, but they're rubbish if we're being honest. Let me see, I've got some, I can probably scuff this off. I've got some metal abrasive ones that might scrape it off better. So I'll have a play with this and we'll come back and see how far we get. Otherwise, I'm going to get some nitro Moors, which is the best, quickest stuff. Get rid of that thin layer of paint. Even some carb cleaner on there might help at this stage, guys. It kind of gets underneath and peels it up. So I'll have a little play with it. We'll strip it as best as we can. Then I'll use that pad to kind of get rid of the white dust, the oxidization, and we'll look at painting. So I'm letting that soak with carb cleaner on it for a bit. What the carb cleaner does is it gets under the imperfections and helps peel it up. That's the brush I'm using to get the paint off. All I need to do is get it all down to a sensible level where it's all very sticky, and then paint on top, so that's not too difficult. But what I was thinking was, let me give Sultan a bit of a hand. I haven't helped him that much. Be better if he was here. Problem with Sultan is he's getting here in the afternoons, and I'm trying to wrap up at reasonable times at the moment, so I have some time to myself in the evenings. Let me start with the basics. He can't start this bloody bike. Let me show you that the bike does start. It's probably going to make me look stupid now and not. As long as you've got a bit of choke on while it's cold and the switch is actually on, generally this bike starts. What lights have we got? Let's check the rear. So I'm going to put the lights on. I don't think there's any fronts at all. So we've got rear normal. Let's see if we have a brake light. And let me set you up. I can't see, but you can. Oh, okay. And rear brake. Okay. So it has the front brake light. It doesn't have the rear. That's okay. That's down to the switch down there. That can be managed. Now don't worry about the fact that it's flicking at the moment like that, guys. It's the battery's not in, so that's why it hasn't got a consistent look to it. Right, indicator wise, I know that the rear something's not working. Front left, okay, so rear left isn't working. I believe all the others are. Front right, rear. Oh, where are we? So we've got no rears at the moment. Okay, so I can possibly help with that. Do we have a horn? No horn, that's a pain. But easily solved. Is there a horn on this bike? Yeah, down here. Alright, so we need to look at some horn wiring, and we don't have any front lights at all, so we need to look at that, high beam or low. We'll start with looking at the bulb. It could just be a blown bulb issue, but otherwise it's wiring. So I'm going to start looking there, pull it all apart, look at the bulb, check the wiring. Let's see if we can get a front running light at this stage. I'll switch the bike off. Oh, what has he done? Switch the bike off and we'll look at what's going on. Why did I not switch it off though? He can't have wired it right. Okay, we'll have to look at that as well. So over here, guys, I'm just layering up really gently a matte black on this. When you're doing it like this and you haven't, you know, kind of fully prepped properly, then you just do a bunch of light layers and then a couple of thick, and you'll get a fairly smooth finish. If this was a gloss paint, then you'd do wet coats at the end, which are thick coats but not runny. But yeah, like this, a bunch of light coats and it will build up lovely. Right, let's go and have a look at this front light. This bike's in a state, guys. I resolved the ignition issue. That's fixed. That was easy. He hadn't taped the connections, he hadn't wired well, he hasn't connected properly. That's fine. Maybe he was mocking up. That bulb's blown. My secondary bulb down there, which isn't a fitment, works. So front lights do work, but we need a bulb. These are the big ugly Piaggio bulbs. They're quite pricey and all. They're like a tenner each, but that is the fitment for this bike. He'd probably be better off buying another light altogether, but actually that's a good solid front, and normally, I mean, that's plastic crap, but that front's a good quality one, so that's come off something else, so it's kind of worth keeping. A lot of the cheap Chinese ones, they melt away and everything, so I'd probably stick with this light anyway. The indicators are terrible. We need 4 new indicators. The horn don't work. I was looking for the horn down there, it's down there, but actually look, someone's mounted one up here as well, so maybe if I clean it and play with it, that horn comes back. But yeah, it's a lot of work, this bike, for the outcome, you know. It needs lots of little bits, but at the moment the 4 new indicators is kind of priority, and the front light, and then the rear light switch. I'll have a look at that now. Normally, as a general rule, somewhere under here there'll be a switch that goes to the light. There it is. So there's the switch. What you got to do is you got to pull on it like I just did. So you see that switch there? See the plunger? That there. So if you turn the bike back on and kind of just plunge that and see if it works. If it doesn't work, look at the wiring and kind of work it out. This bike's had lots of weird things done to it. It's got all these sensors kicking about. Basically, I have no reason why, but someone paid the works to get a tracker on this, an alarm system and this and that. They would have spent hundreds compared to the price of this bike, which doesn't make sense. But they did, which in a way is a good thing, because they liked the bike. It should kind of be looked after, really. Saying that, it's in a state. But it does start I think it runs and rides. I think we've test ridden it, have we? It's got the basics there, and he only needs to make a few pounds on it. I wanted him to do this project to keep him busy, but I don't think it's in his heart to do bikes. That's the truth. I think he likes the socialising, but I don't think he's really interested in bikes, if I'm being honest. I've told him to start a channel. He should start a little blog channel, just where he blogs. People seem to kind of like him-ish, so he should blog away, I think. Right, where are we? I wish my rear indicators had turned up, or I had some that would work. A nice set of clean ones. Maybe. Alright, let's work this out. What I'll do is actually I'll go and check the post, because they may have turned up, you never know. So funny enough, guys, just popped home quickly and the indicators were here, which is great news. I can put the back of this bike together, which is exciting. So I'm going to do that now. And he needs 4 as well on his little bike. I think just change all 4, start fresh. They were like £8, guys, cheap ones, but they're bulbs. I find too much hassle with the LEDs at the moment in regards to having to change the relays, so I prefer the bulbs, but they're small and neat, you know. Right, so I'm going to put the back end of this bike back together, which is great because we'll have a kind of fully functioning rear end of the bike. All the brake light and normal light works, that's good. Front light needs a bulb, so all this needs to come off at some point. And yeah, but getting the rear end put together is great. That's going to be really handy. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I just took the number plate off to give that a good clean, and look what I found on the back. I assume there was an L. Hang on a minute. It doesn't say Dunlop, but that is the Dunlop sign. This is so weird. If that was an L here, Lop. But that's not a P, is it? That's an I. This bike was... I think this bike was special. I really do. My assumption is that plate was back to front when it was in the race. So my assumption is it sat here like that, look. So it has Dunlop all over it. Oh, it's such a cool, it's really cool. Everything that pops up on this bike just is a bit of an extra surprise. That's just really cool. I love that, really love that. I'm going to give it a good old clean before it all goes back on, and I'll keep it. Normally I would swap this plate for one size down and I'd put Motorcycle Rescue on it, but I'm going to keep that just for that, just for the heritage of that. I mean, they're just stickers, guys, but they were stuck on for something, for someone. I wish one of you out there knew what this bike was. I wish someone recognised it. It would make my day.